Yes, it's visible.
Okay, very fine. Okay, so I want to talk today about the issue of um, governing, the title is Governing Tomorrow's Risk, why ISO 27001 alone is no longer enough, and how ISO 42001 becomes somehow the missing half of modern governance. So, again, I want to say thank you to all of you who participate today, and ladies and gentlemen. So, um, let me start with a story that hits close to home. Actually, I was born and raised in Germany, but as you may see, I'm of Ethiopian origin. And so let me start with a story that hits close to my country of origin. So my country, Ethiopia, is racing toward its digital Ethiopia 2025. That was my father. I'm sorry. Uh, 25 vision. And in 2024, we were ranked somehow number one in the world for monthly malware encounters. Not because Ethiopia is somehow weak, but because somehow we are connecting millions of new users every month. And in just 6 months of last year, our national cyber agency, it's called INSA, stopped almost about 4,600 real cyber attacks. So actually, we are building fast, but as you may recognize, the ground is moving faster. And while we are busy putting up stronger walls against hackers, a completely new threat exploded recently. Uh, and this would be ungoverned artificial intelligence. Um, Here's the brutal truth, somehow, in one sentence. AI adoption is strong, or is sprinting. Yeah, it's very fast, the adoption of AI tools, but the governance frameworks somehow are walking. They are not sprinting. Yeah, and so ISO 27001, as you know, is the gold standard we all love and trust. Uh, it was mainly designed for a world of files, networks, and human beings. Um, but it was not designed for algorithms that learn by themselves, as you know, and they make decisions by themselves. And sometimes they cause harm by themselves. So this situation somehow has created, I would say, a governance vacuum. And this vacuum has two layers. So the first layer would be, I called it an operational layer. Um, this layer means obviously this layer is trying to run tomorrow's AI systems with yesterday's security manual. And this is like operating, if I make an analogy, this is like operating a nuclear power plant with the safety instructions for coal-fired steam engine. Yeah. So it doesn't fit really. Uh, then we have the second layer. The first layer, as I said, is the operational layer. The second layer would be the legal layer. So the situation right now is that most laws around the world in 2025 um, including Ethiopia's 1960s civil code that still governs liability, assume a human being had intent or negligence. So when an AI denies a microloan, it misallocates agricultural subsidies or wrongly flags a citizen in a digital ID system. Yeah. Um, the law is silent about that. So actually, the questions that are in the room are some, for example, who pays the programmer, the data supplier, the minister. Nobody knows at this point. This is what I called the AI liability chasm. So at the same time, Ethiopia's new personal data protection proclamation, it was somehow came into law in 2024, gives every citizen the explicit right not to be subject to fully automated decisions that significantly affect them. The same right exists in Europe, South Africa, Brazil, Canada, and soon, I suppose, everywhere. So we have somehow moved from protect the data uh, to protect people from the consequences of the data. And that, my dear colleagues, is the new frontier, as I detected. And ISO 27001, for all its excellence, has nothing to say about it, about this liability chasm. So let me see. I called this the fortress and the flawed blueprint. This is the fortress analogy. So from my recent years, where I somehow was building ISO 27001 systems from scratch, also leading SOC 2 and GDPR programs. I also advised, especially recently here in Ethiopia, banks and governments in this area. I can tell you one thing with certainty. Um, this would be that ISO 27001 is non-negotiable. You can negotiate about that. This is a bedrock of trust in the digital age. And so we have to plan, do, check, act, risk treatment plans, Annex A controls, management review. These are within this ISO 27001 ecosystem, still the best discipline we have. But for AI risks, as I see it, it is necessary, yet tragically insufficient. And for example, picture your ISO 27001 certified organization as a magnificent medieval fortress. That's why I called it fortress analogy. So we have, at first, we have the towering walls. These are the firewalls and encryption. Then we have the moat. This would be backups and disaster recovery. Then we have the guards for this fortress. This would be the multi-factor authentication, for example, and the least privilege dogma, I would say, yeah. And we have the regular patrols. These are the internal audits. Uh, all together, all of them, they are perfect against an invading army, I would say. And but now imagine, now the AI comes into play. Now imagine the real threat is not an army outside, yes, but a mistake in the original architectural blueprint. So this would be the main gate is only 1.5 meters high and tall people are systematically excluded, not by malice, but by design. And this 1.5-meter gate is the analogy for the algorithmic bias. And that flawed blueprint is training data that carries historical injustice. So ISO 27001 secures the construction site and the finished castle, but as I see it, it was never meant to audit the blueprint itself. And so let me somehow demonstrate the concrete gaps. First, we have the risk questions. ISO 27001 asks, what if the server is stolen or the server crashes? This is a so-called asset risk. Then AI governance, on the other hand, must ask, what if this model denies opportunities based on postal code, gender, or dialect? This is what I call, or what is called human impact risk. Then the second gap would be data controls. 27001, to be specific, A.8.2 classifies data and protects it. On the other hand, 42001 asks if this data set is this data set representative? Does it encode past discrimination? What is its provenance? So if we ignore these gaps, we risk far more, as I see it, far more than fines. We risk, in Ethiopia, for example, we would risk losing market access in connection to the EU AI Act. We would lose grants, trade partnerships, and most importantly, public trust towards the government, who is using probably also the AI tools, and it's also in charge of the regulation of this new AI systems. Yeah, and so let me come to I call it ISO 42001, the strategic partner, not the replacement. Um, um, Here's now, I would call it game changer. This is ISO 42001. As I think it was somehow came into play as a law in 2023. And it's an artificial intelligence management system, AIMS. And it's not a competitor or it's not a competition. It has not a competition with 27001, as I see it. Essentially, from my point of view, it's a strategic partner of 27001. It's somehow the bridge across the governance vacuum, which I explained previously. And the best news of all is both standards share the exact same DNA. The high-level structure. So we have identical clauses, 4 to 10. Also the same PDCA cycle, which is the proclamation we have in Ethiopia. And so we have your context analysis, leadership commitment, risk methodology, internal audit, program management review, everything you already built for 27001 becomes actually reusable. You can reuse it, scaffolding for 42001. And 42001 adds also free game changes. or three game-changing pillars, I would say. Every leader or everyone who's dealing with this issue must master, from my point of view. So the first pillar would be the AI impact assessment. This is not a pen test, it's more a social technical evaluation. So the questions within this pillar would be, who are the vulnerable stakeholders? Then what rights and freedoms are at stake? Third, could this somehow in some way erode public trust? The pillar two is the yeah, it's an institutionalized explainability. So we move somehow from what happened in 27001, it would be the logs. Yeah, you investigate the logs. To why did the AI decide this? Um, so why did the AI decide this is already codified in it's mandatory in the EU AI Act in Article 13 and also in the Ethiopian new data law from 2024, which I mentioned prior in Article 25 and also in many other laws. So this would be pillar two, the institutionalized explainability, the move from what happened to why did the AI decide that. Pillar three, I called it codified human oversight and the so-called red button. So the ultimate accountability should stay with humans. So at the end of the day, we don't want to be governed by AI. So this human oversight is very crucial. And so we have in this pillar, we have documented escalation paths, review committees, and a clear process to pause or roll back high-risk AI systems. Um, Together, these three pillars turn the ISMS, the Information Security Management System, which is usually in connection to ISO 27001, it turns this system into a full AI security management system. Um, Here again, we have the three pillars. I repeated AI impact assessment, social technical analysis, institutionalized explainability, and human oversight. So we come to the question from Hamburg to Addis Ababa. Hamburg is my hometown in Germany, where I was also born, or where I started with my company, consulting company, Cygof Strategies. I also established a PLC recently in Ethiopia because I think Africa is also an interesting market. So that's why it's some kind of dual, I have a dual location in Hamburg and in Addis Ababa. So I have lived actually and worked in both worlds. Currently, I'm in Ethiopia. And in Hamburg and the EU, ISO 42001 is treated somehow as the operational engine for the EU AI Act conformity or compliance. So high-risk AI systems, for example, like credit scoring, recruitment, law enforcement, migration, must demonstrate exactly the controls which are somehow displayed in Annex A of 42001. So this means in Germany, in Hamburg, for many organizations over there, 42001 certifications are the fastest path to legal compliance and continued market access. Yeah. Whereas here in Addis Abeba and on the African continent, we are deploying national digital IDs. As you may heard, Ethiopia has the so-called FIDA ID. I think they even implemented digital ID in advance before I think Great Britain has now is planning or has already implemented digital ID. But actually, most of Europe they don't have a digital ID yet. In Ethiopia, they were very fast. They have deployed this digital ID. What is also very unique is, for example, that you need the digital ID for every financial transaction you do on your with your bank account. So for every financial transaction, you need to somehow have your digital ID. Uh, we can also talk about the issue of data privacy. If this maybe is maybe if there are possibilities to modify it, but this is somehow a very advanced state, and so they are actually deploying, as I said, digital IDs, AI-driven fintech, smart agriculture, health diagnostics in a breathtaking speed here in Africa. Yeah. And ISO 42001 is not just compliance uh, here in Ethiopia. It's somehow the leapfrog blueprint. So they leapfrog the steps. Yeah. They immediately went into this storm, I would say. Yeah. So um, the next topic I want to talk now about is I called it the efficiency hack, unlocking integrated governance. Um, um, this part of the keynote is the practical payoff. It's how we move from just talking about ISO 27001, which would be your basic digital security rules, and ISO 42001, your new AI ethics and responsibility rules, to actually using them without burning out your team. Uh, so the global context is why AI governance matters everywhere. First, let's talk about why everyone is rushing to adopt for 2001. The motive isn't the same everywhere, as I already indicated, but the goal is. In places like the European Union, companies are using for 2001 in a defensive way, I would say. Yeah, they think of it as a huge shield. Europe just passed the EU AI Act. I think it was in the beginning of 2025 or at the end of 2024, which is a strict law. So if your company in Europe uses high risk AI, for example, for loan approvals or hiring, yeah, you have to follow its rules of this AI Act. So getting 42001 certified is the fastest, clearest way to tell the government, look, we as a company, we have everything under control. They are they are motivated by compliance, and somehow these companies and they want to avoid massive fines. Yeah. Uh, but now look, on the contrary, at the fast developing regions like the African Union, here the motive is a progressive one, not a defensive one. Uh, they're building here actually, they're building national digital systems for things like banking and agriculture from scratch. And right now, this is what is going on right now here. I'm a witness because I'm in Addis Ababa, which is also the capital of the African Union. So many lines come together here, actually in Addis Ababa. So um, as I said, they are building all these things from scratch right now, and they aren't trying to fix old mistakes. Um, they are designing for the future. This is what they do. Um, the AU actually is pushing for 2001 because it's a ready-made ethical blueprint, which they can just use and leapfrog to it, yeah. And it ensures that the digital public goods they build are secure and fair from day one. So they are actually motivated by building trust and leading ethically. This is the situation here in Africa. So these are two totally different reasons. Fear of fines on the European continent versus hope for the future here in Africa. Uh, but both lead to the same destination, which would be, as I already indicated, trust. And the same trust they're built on the foundation of security plus responsibility. This is somehow the foundation. Yeah. Um, so I want to talk about what I call the audit nightmare. So this would be doing the same work twice. Uh, Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of why this matters for your job or for some of you. Probably uh, the old way of handling these two standards is incredibly inefficient. It meant that a company would focus somehow entirely on its security audit 27001 during, say, the early months of the year. Yes. Then, just when everyone thought they were done, they would have to restart the whole cycle for the AI responsibility audit for 2001 later in the year. So you can imagine that like having two massive final exams a few months apart that cover 80% of the same material. You would be studying, gathering notes, and proving things twice. This leads to, I would call it audit fatigue. Your staff gets exhausted, efficiency drops, and you waste probably thousands of hours and dollars. I mean, we have also audit automation. You can also use AI, but nevertheless, it's still quite a lot of work. So, the solution, I would say, is the integrated control checklist. The fix, uh, as I see it, is really just a smart, unified checklist. Because of the two ISO standards share this, as I already mentioned, share the same backbone or the same DNA. That would be the general structure and management system. We can treat them actually as one. We stop asking two separate questions at two separate times and start asking one combined question once. Yeah. And let's look at the specific steps your team probably takes. Uh, First, we are preparing the training data. The old security rule 27001 only cares is this data somehow locked up safely. Um, The new responsibility rule, I call it responsibility rule in connection to AI for 2001, cares, is this data fair, accurate, and not full of historical bias? So what would be the smart solution here? Your team performs one deep check and produces a single report that says, yes, the data is safe from hackers, and yes, we checked it and fixed any gender or racial bias we found. One document, dual proof. Then, as a second step, checking the finished AI model. The security rule 27001 asks, does the program have technical flaws? Yeah. The AI 4201 responsibility rule asks, did the AI make fair, non-discriminatory decisions? So the smart solution would be here also. Your single final test report covers both. It proves the model is technically stable and ethically sound. Uh, the takeaway is that we achieve one audit which delivers dual compliance, resulting in massive efficiency, as I see it. It's about leveraging the structure they share to work smarter, not harder. Yeah. And we are here, I call it the architect of institutional trust. We are at a historic inflection point from my point of view. 20 years ago, almost, organizations ignored information security, disappeared, or paid enormous fines. Yeah. So organizations that ignored information security, they just disappeared, or had to pay enormous fines. Yeah. Today, organizations that ignore responsible AI governance will suffer the same, only faster, louder, and more publicly. Yeah. Uh, so I would say that the integration of ISO 27001 and ISO 42001 is no longer nice to have for Silicon Valley giants. Yeah, I would say it is foundational statecraft on the government side, and and it's very needful for business survival also on the business side. So um, it's the only credible path to uh, protect sovereignty, digital sovereignty in a digital world, uh, earn and keep the fragile currency of public trust, and build institutions resilient not only to today's malware, but to tomorrow's algorithmic crisis. I'm sure we will be confronted with that in the future. So the frameworks exist. The need is somehow universal. And the time for integrated, decisive action is now. And thank you for listening to me. I'm ready for your questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Liu. The way you represented everything, I'm sure the audience is looking forward to have some questions. And yes, the chat box is now officially open for the questions that you may have. You can go ahead and ask your questions since you have this opportunity of being with the speaker. Okay, Liu, I guess we have one question from the live session that is going on across different platforms. How do organizations practically map ISO 27001 security controls, especially Annex A controls, to, to the governance requirement introduced in ISO 42001?
Mm, what is the question exactly? How can you repeat it, please? Because I right now I can't get into the chat. Let me see.
Yeah, okay, I will just like send it to the chat too. So
Yeah, let's see.
here.
Mm, okay, now let me see. So which question? Any other ISO standards in your future integrating ISO 27001 and ISO 42001?
Yeah, I guess that's the question from M. Jayakar, but yes, you can answer it first and then we can move to the question that was asked by someone else in the live session.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't look into the future actually. I don't know which future ISOs in connection to AI will somehow appear. Right now, we have this standard, and I think these both, this is the main, as I see it, the main issue right now to tackle this issue and to combine them before we think about future um, standards. This would be my take on that.
Absolutely makes sense. Yes, and the question that was asked previously was this: how do organizations practically map ISO 27001 security controls, especially Annex A controls, to the governance requirement introduced to ISO 42001?
Um, uh, Practically map. I think I'm not sure if there are already companies who are somehow uh, combine these two standards as I explained it. So maybe we should do a study about this and ask them. Right now, I just explained my idea that it would make sense to combine those both standards because, as I said, 80% they share the same DNA and structure, and I think every organization can decide for their own how they want to combine it.
Absolutely, there's like different methods for that. And yes, like the second question that we are having is that what are the biggest gaps you have seen when teams try to apply traditional information security assumptions?
Let me see. Where's the question?
I can copy and paste it for
Yeah.
you from the live. Yes, this one, which I just sent in the chat box right now.
What are the biggest gaps you've seen when teams try to apply traditional what gaps, which gaps is the gentleman or lady is talking about? Technical gaps or legal gaps?
Maybe the legal gaps, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with SOC 2, for example. I prepared SOC 2 audit and the legal gaps. SOC 2 is just a standard. It's not a codified law somehow. So the auditor has his checklist. You need to prepare the company according the standard, the SOC 2 standard, and then there shouldn't be any gaps usually if you want to get through the audit. So But of course, there are people who make mistakes. For example, when I was the head of compliance of a Dutch Israeli company, the security analysts were the ones who wrote the policies. And I had to check if they were in compliance, their policies with certain standards. So changes. I have no concrete gaps. There are mistakes which the policy writers somehow do. It can be this or that, but usually sometimes technical issues can't be resolved or cannot comply with the standard, then you have a problem. But yeah, it's the most of the time it's that technical problems cannot solve the requirement, and then you probably have to change your
Mistakes,
product or whatever. Yeah.
for example, when I was the head of
So, what is ISO 42001 scope of applications development? What is the ISO? This is a,
40,000 square.
excuse me?
There is one more question from Manish. What is the ISO 42001 scope of applications development?
Yeah. I'm more on the legal side. I'm not a technician. I suppose application development is a technical issue.
So Om says heartiest thanks to you for absolute briefing standards step to step as mentioned in the standards.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you too.
We have few more minutes for any more questions if any one of you is having. Otherwise, I can also get some questions of the live session. Are there any specific ISO 27001 controls, such as access management, logging, or secure development, that become very much critical when applied to AI system under ISO 42001?
I suppose so. I suppose so. You need to figure this out. Also, it depends on the product you make the audit for. So I'm sure about that. But this is a very specific question. You need to see from case to case. What is the issue? What is the concrete problem?
Okay, I guess so. These are the questions that we have had so far. And yes, like if no more questions, then we can come to the, end of the today's session real quick. But yes, if anyone is having any more questions, the chat box is still open, so you can go ahead and ask your questions. Yes, I guess so far that was it for today. And thank you so much once again, Liul, for being a part of today's session and everyone who joined in. We have absolutely gained something incredible, insightful from you. And before we wrap up, we would love to hear your final thoughts, any closing message that you would like to leave with us from the today's session.
Yeah, actually, my closing message would be I see it more from an ethical and legal side, since I'm a German trained lawyer. I pivoted into cybersecurity just 3 years ago. Did also my Computer Security Plus certification. Did a 7 month full-time program as a SOC analyst. And however, I'm more eager to somehow this, or I tried to display the dangers we have dealing with AI. So, for example, the liability topic. And I would like the audience to think about this issue in the future, that this will be a foundational issue about AI, that who takes the accountability for certain decisions of algorithm. This was the main topic today for me, and I hope maybe you gained something from it, and yeah, maybe we see us next time. Thank you for listening.
Of course, it was immense pleasure. And I would like to say thank you to you personally once again. And everyone who was a part of today's session, I would like to make a few announcements before you guys head off. So you can opt for the certificate from today's session, and it's a globally recognized. And yes, like for more information, you can visit gsccouncil.org. Everyone who joined today's session, they're getting 20% off on this using the code ISOLE20. And yes, recently we announced a utility tool where you can improve your resume and validate what you know, strengthen your professional presence, and which can open doors to the global opportunities, because this utility tool is going to take your career on the another level. And it's completely free for all the participants who joined today. All you have to do is use the AUG 100 and you get 100% discount for this. And yes, we have amazing lineup for today as well, for learning and development case studies across the industries. And yeah, this is the AI implementation series, which comes to an end today. And so today also was the last day for the AI implementation series, and next one comes for the next week. And tomorrow we have Alexander Q, Beyond the Checklist, Building a Race-Driven, Value-Focused ISMS for a Natural ISO 27001 compliance. He's going to give a lot of insights on the 27001, December 11th, 8:30 a.m. CST, 10:30 p.m. GMT. This will be the last session for tomorrow before we head off to the amazing lineup that we have for the next week for the ISO 27001 and 42001. So yes, make sure you're finishing off your series by joining Mr. Alexander's session tomorrow. And a special thank you for our referral champions, Astik Saxena, Rakesh Ranjan, Bandi Hemant. You guys have definitely helped us get more audience. And if you would like to be a part of referral championship as well and get vouchers worth $400, all you have to do is invite your colleagues, your co-workers to the sessions, and once you climb up the ladder board, you get the vouchers worth $400. And if you would like to become one of the speaker for the learning capsule, webinars, or a part of a podcast, you can reach out to me on gauri@gsccouncil.org, and we will get you started from there. Lastly, we would love to connect with you, so make sure you're checking out our LinkedIn, the website. You can also join the exclusive WhatsApp group, which keeps you updated about the every session that is going on that is aligned for the future as well. And if you could share your sessions takeaway from what you learned today on the reviews.io, it will definitely mean much to us. So yeah, that was it for the today's session. With this, we come to the end, and see you all tomorrow. Thanks once again, Liu, for being a part of today's session. And of course, we look forward learning from you more. Yes, I think there are some questions in the chat box. But yeah, okay. Armand, I am sending the more information about the certificate as soon as we're saying a final goodbye to Mr. Liu. Thank you so much.
Bye bye, all of you. Bye.
Yes. Good day,
Should I
good
stay
night.
in?
What is it?
Should I stay in, Gauri, or is it okay when I
No,
leave?
no, that's okay. That's the with that we come to end. Yeah.
Have
Thank
a good
you.
Bye bye.
Yeah.